Hello and welcome everyone to this edition of Company Law Lectures. In this lecture, we are going to go ahead with the part 2 of section 134, which was speaking about financial statement and board report. We had covered financial statement in our last lecture, and today we are going to cover board's report. Just to recap about what we discussed in the financial statement provisions under section 134 was that financial statement, including consolidated financial statement of the company, shall be signed by the board of directors before it is submitted to the auditors for their audit report. Once the auditors audit the financial statement and submit their audit report, the audit report shall be attached to the financial statement. The next point was that the board report shall also be attached to the financial statement. And this financial statement shall be including the consolidated financial statement and along with that a copy of the notes if it is a part of the financial statement, auditor's report and board report shall then be together published, issued and circulated to the stakeholders. This is what we had gone through in section 134 with regards to financial statement. One more important point that we had discussed was authentication of financial statement. That means who is going to sign on behalf of the board of directors. So financial statements can be signed by the chairperson if is authorized by the board of directors. If the board of directors do not authorize the chairperson, then at least two directors shall sign, of which at least one shall be a managing director. Additionally, we will require the signatures from the CEO, CFO, and company secretary. So this is what we had discussed yesterday in the last lecture of section 134 with regards to financial statement. Today we will continue the lecture with regards to board report. Now board report is covered under section 134 subsection 3 subsection 4 read with rule 8 of companies accounts rules 2014 from the companies act. Okay, so board report is a report which is prepared by the board of directors. What do board of directors basically report over here? Everything that has happened within the company for the last 1 year will be reported by the board of directors in the form of board report to the shareholders. So this is like an summary of the affairs of the company and explanation, if any, that needs to be given by the board to the shareholders. Okay, and this board report along with the financial statement and auditor reports is placed before the shareholders in the annual general meeting itself for the approval of the shareholders. Okay, this part is clear. Now let's get into specifics of board report. First of all, rule 8 of companies accounts rules 2014 specifies that the board report shall be prepared based on the standalone financial statement of the company. So if a company is in a structure of a holding company and has various subsidiary company or joint ventures or associate companies, in that case the company's board report will be prepared for the standalone main holding company, and it will also report summary or say highlights of the performance of the subsidiaries, associates and joint venture companies, and it will also provide what is the contribution of such subsidiaries, joint venture companies or associate companies to the overall performance of the company for that period. So rule 8 Rule 8 of the Companies Accounts Rules 2014 specifies that the board report shall be prepared on the basis of what? On the basis of stand-alone financial statement. So, if say company A is the holding company and company A has more than, I will just draw it over to make it more easier. Say we have company A and this is the holding company. Okay, this is the holding company. And this company has a subsidiary company which is company B. Okay, then there is a company C which is a joint venture, and then there is a company uh, D which is again a subsidiary company. Okay, so the board report will be prepared for company A on its standalone financial statements itself. Okay, so board report will be prepared on the basis of the standalone financial statement. Okay, first thing. Second, if there are any subsidiary company, like in this case there is company B, there is company C, company D, then the board report will highlight the performance of company B, company C, company D in a summarized manner within the board report, and also it will provide what has been the contribution of these companies to the overall performance of the company. Okay, now you have understood what this point is trying to convey. The next point is, what are the contents of the board report? As I told you, board report will contain everything that has happened within the company, which is material, which is the state of affairs of the company throughout the year, any changes which has happened within the company, and all the regulatory compliances of the company. All these things will be provided within the board report. Also, an audit report which has been provided by the auditors. If there is any qualification, if there is any adverse remark, if there is any disclaimer, an explanation to that also will be given by the board of directors in the board report. Okay, so section 134, subsection 3 contains the provision with regards to contents of the board report. Additionally, Rule 8 also provides for some of the contents of the board report. Now, first of all, let us go through section 134, subsection 3 for the contents of the board report. This has to be read with Rule 8. Okay. So, what are the contents? First of all, under section 92, we know that the company would file its annual return, and it is mandatory for the company, if it has any web address, to place this annual report on the web address itself. Such web address shall also be disclosed within the board report. Okay, this is the first point. Second, how many number of meetings, that is board meeting, has been conducted during the year will also be disclosed in the board report. Third is director's responsibility statement. Now, this point, which is director's responsibility statement, I would be covering this in a separate lecture, which will come after this particular lecture. That will be the part 3 of section 134. Okay, so we will park the discussion for director's responsibility statement later on. Next is details in respect of any frauds which have been reported by the auditors under section 143 subsection 12. So this will be covered under next chapter, which is about audit and auditors, where we have section 143.12, which gives a mechanism where the auditor, if he finds any fraud, he can report it to the company or the central government. So we will discuss it in detail in our whenever I am going to upload the lectures for audit and auditors. Okay, so any fraud which has been reported by the auditor will also be disclosed in the board report. Okay, next point is, company would have some independent directors in the company, which is mandatory as per the law. So such independent director has to give a statement of declaration, with regards to their independence. Such statement of declaration also has to be a part of the board of directors report, which is the board report. Next point is, if section 178.1, which speaks about nomination and remuneration committee and stakeholder relationship committee, if these sections are applicable to the company, then company's policy on director appointment and remuneration, which will include on what are the qualifications for determining the appointment, at the same time positive attributes, if any was looked upon in the candidate as a director, at the same time, if it is an independent director, then the independence of the director also. Okay, next point is, in case, as I said you, in case the auditor's report gives any kind of an qualification, reservation, or adverse remark or disclaimer, then the board's explanation or comments on such an auditor's qualification, reservation, adverse remark, or disclaimer shall also be provided in the board report. Now, this will be applicable both for the auditor's report as well as the secretarial auditor report. The next one is the particulars relating to loans, guarantees, or investment under section 186. Next one is, if there is any related party contracts or arrangements which have been entered by the company. Next is the state of affairs of the company. Next is if the company board of directors uh, do come to a decision that some amount has to be transferred to the reserves, then such amount shall be disclosed in the board report. Similarly, when a board of directors recommend dividend, then the amount shall be disclosed in the board report. Okay. Next point is if there is any material changes and commitments, if there is any material changes and commitments which has a bearing on the financial position of the company, which can affect the financial position of the company, that also has to be highlighted in the board report. Okay. So next point is conservation of energy, technology absorption, foreign exchange earnings, and outgo. If the company is engaged in the production of any defense equipment, then this point is exempted for such particular company. Okay. Next point is a statement indicating the development and implementation of risk management policy. So every company would have a risk management policy. So uh, what is the specifics of such risk management policy, how it has been developed, and how it is being implemented shall also be provided in the board report. Next point is that in case a company has developed and implemented a corporate social responsibility, that is CSR, which is covered under section 135. A detailed video on CSR, that is corporate social responsibility section 135, will be uploaded by me very soon on this YouTube channel itself. Okay. Now the next point is this is an important point where if the company is a listed company, okay, then the process or the manner in which the evaluation of the performance of the board, its committee, or any individual director, the way it has been done has to also be provided in the board report. So a statement indicating the manner in which the formal annual evaluation of the performance of the board, its committee, individual directors has been made shall also be provided in the board report. So these are the points which are covered under section 134 subsection 3 with regards to contents of the board report. Okay, contents of the board. So if you see, this is a very exhaustive list. Lot of points have been covered. Whatever happens within the company has been covered in this list. Now, after this, Rule 8 Sub-rule 4 speaks about that every listed company and every other public company having paid up share capital of 25 crores or more, having paid up capital of how much? 25 crores or more, then in that case, the same point which we had discussed in point number P, that a statement indicating the manner in which the formal evaluation of the board of directors, its committees, and individual directors has been done has to be provided in the form of a statement. Has to be provided in the form of a statement. Okay. This point number P is exempted in case it is a government company. Okay. And last point is any such other matters as may be prescribed. So I hope you have understood all the list of points that we have discussed so far. If I go back and once again just summarize it. First of all, rule 8 of Companies Accounts Rules 2014 speaks that board report shall be prepared on the basis of the standalone financial statement and shall report on the highlights of the performance of the subsidiary associates and joint venture companies, and their contribution to the overall performance shall also be highlighted under this report. Okay, that was the main provision. Then contents have been covered under section 134.3, where if an annual return has been filed and if there is a web address on which it is placed, that should be disclosed. Next is number of board meetings which have happened. Director's responsibility statement. Fraud, if any, has been reported by the auditor under section 143, subsection 12. Next point is the statement of declaration by the independent directors. Next point is company's policy on directors' appointment and remuneration. Next point is explanation or comment by the board in case any kind of adverse remark, qualification, or any reservation has been pro- given has been made by the auditors in the auditor's report or the secretarial audit report. At the same time, particulars with regards to loans, guarantees, investment, any related party contracts, any kind of amount which has been decided to be transferred to the reserves, any amount which has been decided to be given or recommended as dividend. At the same time, material changes or any commitments which has a bearing or affects the financial position of the company, conservation of energy, technology, absorption, foreign exchange, earnings, and outgo. This is not applicable to a company which is in the production of defense equipment. Next point is development and implementation of a risk management policy, and if any risk elements have been identified under this policy, that also has to be disclosed in the board report. Next point was any policy which has been developed and implemented with regards to CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. And finally, the last point was formal annual evaluation of the performance of the board, its committee, and the individual directors. So these are the points which are there, which are basically contents of the board report. Additionally, Rule 8 has provided some more points which you can go through, which again are pretty much a similar point. Some additional points have also been provided. So first point is financial summary or highlights, as was given in section 134 subsection 3 also. Change in nature of business, which is material changes which are happened. Details of directors or key managerial personnel, which is KMP, who have been appointed or resigned during the year. A statement regarding the opinion of the board with regards to its, this is an important point, the directors have to provide a statement regarding the opinion of the board with regards to integrity, expertise, experience, including the proficiency of the independent directors appointed during the year. The name of the companies which have become, sorry, the name of the companies which have become or ceased to be its subsidiaries, joint ventures, or associate company during the year. So, if a company is having any subsidiary company, joint venture company, or associate company, and that company has now shut down, or that company is now does not is now, or that company is now ceased to exist, then that particular disclosure shall also be made in the board report. Finally, there is an disclosure which has to be made with regards to details of the deposits, like how much of deposit was accepted for the year, how much is remaining unpaid or unclaimed as at the end of the year, and also whether there was any default in repayment of deposits or payment of interest thereon at the beginning of the year, maximum during the year, and at the end of the year. So this speaks about default in repayment of deposits or payment of the interest thereon. Finally, details of deposits which are not in compliance with requirements of Chapter 5, which are not in compliance with requirements of Chapter 5, which speaks about acceptance of deposits by company. Okay. Details of significant or material orders passed by the regulators or courts or tribunal. So if there was any case or litigation which was pending before any court or regulator or tribunal, so whatever the significant or material orders have been passed, that also has to be disclosed within the board report under Rule 8. Next is details in respect of adequacy of internal financial controls. So whether there are adequate internal financial controls which have been maintained within the company. A disclosure as to the maintenance of cost records. If section 148 subsection 1, which speaks about cost records, is applicable to the company, then in that case, whatever is specified by the central government, according to that, a disclosure has to be made. Next point is statement that the company has complied with the provisions with regards to constitution of internal complaints committee, with regards to internal complaints committee under the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention Prohibition Redressal Act 2030. Okay. Next, two more important points which have been added are details of application made in case there is any application made by the company of or if any proceeding is pending under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, then the status of the same shall also be provided in the board report. Similarly, if the company has done any valuation of the company, then the difference between the amount of valuation done at the time of one-time settlement and the valuation done while taking the loan from the bank or financial institution shall also be provided along with the reasons. Okay, so this is a long list. Just go through it. Don't try to mug it up. Just try to understand. Now one point I would like to highlight over here is that this additional contents which are covered under rule 8 is not applicable to small company or one person company. It is not applicable to small company or one person company. Also, if it is one person company and the uh, central government has prescribed an abridged means summarized board report, that is abridged board report, then such one person company may comply with this provision by just filing the abridged board report itself. Okay. Now the last point that I want to discuss over here is who will sign the board report. Who will sign the board report? Again, the provision remains the same as the authentication of the financial statement, but here only the director's part is covered. That is the chairperson if he is authorized. A chairperson if he is authorized. Okay, a chairperson if he is authorized by the board, then he may sign the board report. If he is not authorized, then in that case, at least two directors have to sign, of which one shall be a managing director. Okay, and where there is only one director, then the one director may sign the same. Okay, so signing of the board report is clear. Signing of financial statement has additional parties to sign, which are CEO, CFO, and company secretary, which is not required in the board report. Rest the provision remains the same. So I hope this is also clear. Last, in case of contravention of provisions under section 134, a penalty or punishment has been provided under section 134 subsection 8. The provision speaks about that in case there is a contravention, then company will have to pay a punishment of 3 lakh rupees, and in case of any officer who is found to be in default of this provision, then the penalty is rupees 50,000 rupees. So I hope this provision section 134 is clear. Both parts, first was financial statement part and second was the board report part. Both are very clear to you and it is clearly understood. Just go through this notes which has been provided in the module itself. Go through it once along with this lecture. I am sure that the concepts will be clear. Now one concept is remaining, which is director's responsibility statement. That I will be covering in a separate lecture which will come after this lecture. Okay, so that's it friends. In case you have understood this lecture, please like the video, share the video with your friends, and if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Thanks a lot. Bye.